All right, y'all. What's good? So today I got a little something special. We're looking at something historic, and that is Tucker Carlson, the man, the myth, the legend, moving from Fox News to Twitter.com. Now, me personally, I don't think there's ever been like a worse glowdown. Like going from the most viewed segment of, I'm pretty sure, of television and of news at least, to Twitter.com is like kind of crazy. The uh the the steps that got him to here are very funny, and somebody else could explain it to you better than me. So if you really want to know the details on why Tucker is here, maybe look them up. But anyways, we haven't done like a really long video in quite a while, ever since the Soul Bunny video. So let's let's look at these two episodes. We got about 22 minutes or so of content.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson.
Oh,
Let's
shut
see.
the fuck up, dude. Let's see what he has to say.
Somebody
Hopefully,
blew up the cacove.
hopefully nothing bad. Hopefully nothing bad at all. You know.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. This morning it looks like somebody blew up the Kakovka Dam in
That was
southern
me.
Ukraine.
I did
The
that.
rushing wall of water wiped out entire villages, destroyed a critical hydropower plant, and as of tonight puts the largest nuclear reactor in Europe in danger of melting down. So, if this was intentional, it was not a military tactic, it was an act of terrorism. The question is, who did it? Well, let's
Me.
see. The Kakovka Dam was effectively Russian. It was built by the Russian government. It currently sits in Russian-controlled territory. The dam's reservoir supplies water to Crimea, which has been, for the last 240 years, home of the Russian Black Sea Fleet.
Now, I'm sure we can all see where this is getting framed. He's gonna be like, "Oh, it was Ukraine that did it because Russia territory." He's gonna say it was Ukraine who did it. Nothing more, nothing less. There's nothing bigger to the situation. There's nothing smaller to the situation. It was just Ukraine that did it. Of course, this is geopolitics, so vastly more it's vastly more complicated than that. However, I just want to say, let's assume Russia does it, okay? Let's just operate under the assumption that Russia does it. Russia has false flagged every single thing that led up to this war. Why would they stop at the beginning of the war? Why wouldn't they like perpetually false flag and get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger with the false flags? Let's assume Ukraine does it. This would be like maybe the first major false flag of the war that they've had. And I'm not saying, oh, Ukraine is without fault, because they've committed war crimes, obviously. Not as many as Russia, but they obviously have. And saying that there is a like faultless um victim here is incredibly stupid. But he's gonna frame it on Ukraine, even though it's obviously vastly more complicated than that. It was probably like a militia group funded by Russia through proxy of some other militia group, some shit like that, you know?
Blowing up the dam may be bad for Ukraine, but it hurts Russia more. And for precisely that reason, the Ukrainian government has considered destroying it. In December, the Washington Post quoted a Ukrainian general saying his men had fired American-made rockets at the dam's floodgate as a test strike.
Okay. I'm gonna make a vibes based argument here. I don't have any way of proving this. I'm gonna assume that this is made up. But you can't do that. You can't do that. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I will. This is made up. And even if it isn't made up, I'm sure the framing of it is.
So really, once the facts start coming in, it becomes much less of a mystery what might have happened to the dam. Any fair person would conclude that the Ukrainians probably blew it up, just as
Okay. Let's. We did a thought experiment earlier. We're about to do the exact opposite of that thought experiment. Let's assume Ukraine did it. what motivations do Ukraine have to do it? Well, it damages their own land, it damages their own people, but it damages some Russia supporters. I think Russia has a lot more of a reason to do this than Ukraine, just on a utilitarian basis. Now, as somebody who knows pretty close to nothing about this situation, it of course it is possible that either side did it. I'm sure by now there's been some sort of conclusion, and it was probably Russia. But there is a possibility that either side did it. However, if we're just looking at this in a utilitarian lens, Russia has so much more utility to do it. One, they can play it off as a false flag. Two, it damages Ukraine. Three, it gets rid of some of Ukraine's energy supply. The utility of Russia doing this is insane, and the utility of Ukraine doing this, honestly, in my opinion, doesn't isn't vaster than the amount of money that they would lose in launching rockets at it. Like, the utility gained would be better gained if they would just throw some money at a militia group to fight for them. I think.
You would assume they blew up Nord Stream, the Russian natural gas pipeline, last fall. And in fact, the Ukrainians did do that, as we now know. It's not like Vladimir Putin is anxious to wage war on himself. Oh, but that's where you're wrong, Mr. and Mrs. Cable News consumer.
I honest to God, I think Vladimir Putin would wage war on himself if he could. I think he would. I honestly think he would. If Vladimir Putin came across a guy that looked just like him with the same name and same ideas, I, honest to God, think that he would declare war on himself.
Vladimir Putin is exactly that sort of man, the sort of man who'd shoot himself to death in order to annoy you.
True, actually.
We know this from the American media, which wasted no time this morning.
And the European media, and the Asian media, and the African media, maybe? I don't know. I don't pay attention to African media, sorry.
In accusing the Russians of sabotaging their own infrastructure.
Which they have historically done multiple times. Not to the level of infrastructure, I don't believe, but they have historically sabotaged themselves as false flags in this matter multiple times. Why wouldn't they do it again?
Bill Kristol, the man who once told us that Saddam Hussein was responsible for 9/11, immediately denounced Putin as a war criminal and even more savagely compared him to Donald Trump.
Based.
The rest of the pundit class made similar, clearly coordinated noises. Putin did it! Putin did it! And their reasoning was simple. Putin is evil, and evil...
Based! Oh my god, he's so real for this. He's so real for this. Putin is evil. That's based of him.
People do evil things purely for the dark joy of being evil.
True.
In this specific case, Putin attacked himself, which is the most evil thing you can do, and therefore perfectly in character for a man that evil.
Putin has attacked, again, I'm sorry to repeat myself, Putin has attacked himself multiple times throughout this war, and before this war.
That was their explanation. No one who's paid to cover these things seemed to entertain even the possibility it could have been the Ukrainians who did it. No chance of that. Ukraine, as you may have heard, is led by a man called Zelensky. And we can say for a dead certain fact that he was not involved. He couldn't have been. Zelensky is too decent for terrorism. Now, you see him on television, and it's true you might form a different impression.
Who is saying this? Who is saying this? Literally who? Made up argument? Source, please? Nobody is saying this beyond, fucking insufferable neolibs. No, who is saying this? We will never know.
Sweaty and rat-like, a comedian turned oligarch, a persecutor of Christians.
Is Sweaty and rat-like anti-Semitic? I feel like it is. I feel like calling somebody rat-like is anti-Semitic. But I don't... Let me see, actually. Is calling someone a rat anti-Semitic? I don't know if I spelled Semitic right. Oh, I didn't. Hey. Oh, look at that? Would you look at that? Anti-Semitic imagery and caricatures. Let's see here. Oh, this is a big ass PDF. I don't know if I want to read all this. Rat has become a slur in the lexicon of do. Okay. Just from kinda. Ooh, here we go. From the earliest 20th century, U.S. scaremongers to Nazi propagandists, there's a long tradition of cartoonists depicting their targets as vermin. Ooh, hey, would you look at that? Yeah, okay. So it looks like there's a bit of a history regarding or calling a rat with being an anti-Semitic slur. I don't know if he was trying to be anti-Semitic there, though. We'll probably figure it out in the rest of the 7 minutes we got left to go. But that's a one strike on the anti-Semitic board for you, Mr. Tucker.
A friend of BlackRock. But don't believe your own eyes.
I love black people making rock.
Actually, Mr. Zelensky is a very good man. The best, really.
He's a politician. He can't really be that good. I mean, I don't know much about his policy, but he seems like a decent speaker, and that's really all I know about him politically, outside of, the war. He seems like a decent speaker. Seems like a kinda chill guy who has, like, somewhat cringe opinions, but generally, I mean, in the state that we're in now, I don't really see much of a problem with him, yeah?
As George W. Bush once noted, he is our generation's Winston Churchill.
Come on now. Don't compare Zelensky to that dickbag. Oh my god. Winston Churchill, he a bitch. He can eat like 4,000 dicks, bruh. Don't compare Zelensky to that piece of shit. What did he do to deserve that?
Of all the people in the world, our shifty, dead-eyed Ukrainian friend in the track...
Okay, shifty-eyed? Yeah, okay, yeah. He's being anti-Semitic. Cool, man. That's great.
...suit is uniquely incapable of blowing up a dam. He's literally a living saint, a man in whom there is no sin. That's why Lindsey Graham is so attracted to him. They're just two good people, hanging out together and being good. And like all good people, when they meet in person, they spend a lot of time talking about killing people and laughing like friends do. Here's the pair last week.
Free or die.
Free or die.
Now you are free.
Yes.
And we will be.
And the Russians are dying.
It's the best money we've ever spent.
Thank you so much.
No, it's...
The Russians are dying.
Okay, that is weird. However, I'm gonna make a very similar argument to what I made, 2 videos ago with Palestine and Israel. This is an oppressed people. They are gonna have some cringe opinions. There is no such thing as a perfect minority. If you have, let's say you have a group of Vietnamese people, and then you have a group of black people, and for the whole entire lifetime of these black people, they have been oppressed by these Vietnamese people. They are going to grow to hate the Vietnamese people. It's really as simple as that. There is no such thing as a perfect victim. That's just a myth. And if we're trying to blame the Ukrainians for having a satisfaction in bucking back the people that have been oppressing them, that's stupid. Yeah, it's wrong, but you kind of get it, right?
It's the best money we've ever spent, Graham says. A smile spreads across his thin, quivering lips as he forms the words. He looks like a starving man.
Is he writing fan fiction? Honestly, I think Tucker would be a good fan fiction writer. Just with the way he narrativizes. Am I saying that right? Narrativizes? Yeah. With the way he narrativizes, he would be a great fan fiction writer. And in a way, he kind of already is.
And contemplating a breakfast buffet, the aroma of death has aroused Lindsey Graham. Thanks so much, replies Zelensky. He feels the same way. See, there's nothing dark here. Just two middle-aged guys celebrating the killing of a population. They don't seem like the kind of people who'd enjoy flooding villages or starting a famine. And in any case, who cares if they are? It's really not your business. Your job is to support Ukraine. Watch Nikki Haley, a Republican candidate for president, explain this principle on CNN.
A win for Ukraine is a win for all of us. And for
Based.
them to sit there and say that this is a territorial dispute, that's just not the case. To say that we should stay neutral, it is in the best interest of America. It's in the best interest of our national security for Ukraine to win. We have to see.
Is this Republican based? Is this a based Republican? What the fuck? She's spitting based. Is this a based Republican? I never thought I'd see the day. What the fuck?
See this through, we have to finish it.
See? It's very easy to understand. It is vitally important for you to support Ukraine because it's necessary for Ukraine to be supported by you.
Yep.
Your support is mandatory until it's finished, whatever it is, and whatever that means.
It is the defense of the Ukrainian people.
So shut up and support Ukraine or else you're in trouble.
Based.
Back when they still taught logic, statements like this were known as tautologies. Something is true because it is. The more you repeat it, the truer it becomes.
Something is true because it is. No shit. No shit, dude. Like, gravity is true because it is. No shit, dude. Warmth is true because it is something you experience. Fucking duh. He probably like was so proud of this own. He like stepped out of his like second 1,000th guest house into his 3,000th guest house and was like, yeah, that one's gonna get him. Things are true because they're true. Yes.
It's a self-reinforcing reality. There was a time
All reality is self-reinforcing, dumbass.
when tautologies were considered illegitimate arguments, not to mention hilariously stupid. Only dumb people talk like that. Now everybody in power talks like that. Diversity is our strength. Trans women are women.
Based and based.
Zelensky is Churchill. It's all
Not based. Churchill's a dick.
self-evidently true. Doesn't need an explanation, and don't ask questions. Sound familiar? Of course it does. That's the pap they're serving us day after day in steaming, lumpy portions.
What does pap mean? I'm genuinely confused. Maybe he explained it earlier, and I was just like foaming at the mouth.
By this point, it's possible that American citizens are the least informed people in the world.
I think he's kind of onto something, guys. I think he's really hit a note here.
Your average yak herder in Tajikistan knows who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. It's obvious. Does he think some skinny dude in a dress is actually a girl? Come on. That idea would never occur to him. You've got to be lied to at full volume over a period of years in order to...
Here's the thing, though. Yak herders in Tajikistan can be wrong. That's all I gotta say. People are capable of being wrong. Not me, though.
to reach conclusions like that. And of course, we have been. The media lie. They do. But mostly they just ignore the stories that matter. What's happened to the hundreds of billions of US dollars we've sent to Ukraine? No
I eated them all.
clue.
But we actually haven't sent Ukraine that much money. We've sent them a lot of gear, which equivalates to that amount of money. I don't really think we've sent Ukraine like any direct money, right? I think we've just kind of sent them like equipment, and we may have sent them like some type of just like allowance. You know, we may have sent them some money, but the vast majority of what we've sent them has been like just equipment, and it's just so happened to totaled out to that amount of money.
Who organized those BLM riots 3 years ago? No
Me.
one's gotten to the bottom of that. What exactly happened on 9/11? Well, it's still classified.
Based?
How did Jeffrey Epstein make all that money? How did he die? How about JFK? And so
Okay, he's getting onto the based radar.
endlessly on. Not only are the media not interested in any of this, they are actively hostile to anybody who is.
Honestly, I think he has a point here. People who are against the rich and powerful, such as Tucker, who is rich and powerful, are often silenced and or like even just like killed if they're like correct enough. He's onto something here, but I don't think me and him mean the same thing when we say this.
Journalism, curiosity is the gravest crime. Yesterday, for example, a former Air Force officer who worked for years in military intelligence came forward as a whistleblower to reveal that the U.S. government has physical evidence of crashed non-human-made aircraft, as well as the bodies of the pilots who flew those aircraft. The Pentagon has spent decades...
Real if true. That's pretty sick, to be honest, like unrelated. If that's true, that's sick.
...decades studying these otherworldly remains in order to build more technologically advanced weapons systems. Okay, that's what the former intel...
To be honest, with the way that the U.S. military is, I don't think that we need alien tech. I'm gonna keep it 100% real. I don't think we need it. We already have like trucks that like emit frequencies that pacify people. I'm pretty sure that's a thing. Or it's like been a thing for a while, maybe something like that. We already have like active camo jets and shit like that. I don't really think we need alien technology.
Officer revealed, and it was clear he was telling the truth. In other words, UFOs are actually real, and apparently so is extraterrestrial life.
No shit. No shit. But Tucker won't reflect on this to see how this challenges his religious belief.
Now we know. In a normal country, this news would qualify as a bombshell, the story of the millennium. But in our country, it doesn't. The whistleblower's account ran on a technology...
Then why isn't the story of the millennium in other countries? You know, news isn't just like an American phenomenon. It happens in other countries too. And sometimes American news is reported in other countries, especially like South and Central American countries. They have American news. I'm pretty sure some African countries do. Maybe some European countries do. I don't know about Asian countries, but a lot of countries do have some sort of like light recap of American news. Maybe if this was bigger news, like Tucker is hyping it up to be, it would be on those, but it probably isn't.
Technology website called The Debrief, which you've probably never heard of. The Washington Post had that story, but decided not to run it. The New York Times, meanwhile, just pretended it never happened. On the front page of the New York Times website this morning, there were 5 stories about Ukraine, as well as 4 stories apiece about Donald Trump, trans people, and climate change, the usual lineup. There was nothing at all about how an alien species is flying hypersonic aircraft over our cities. Not one word. So if you're wondering why our country seems so dysfunctional, this is a big part of the reason. Nobody knows what's happening.
So our country is dysfunctional because our government is sending like 40-year-old tech over to a foreign country to help them liberate their people. No correlation.
A small group of people control access to all relevant information, and the rest of us don't know. We're allowed to yap
You're a part of the small group of people, little bro.
all we want about racism, but go ahead and talk about something that really matters and see
Tucker, racism doesn't matter, Carlson.
what happens. If you keep it up, they'll make you be quiet. Trust us.
Yeah, bro, you'd know.
That's how they maintain control. When Western tourists first started traveling in large numbers to the Soviet Union in the early 1970s, they found that many Russians had a completely warped understanding of the United States. They thought that Americans lived in grinding poverty, in a state of perpetual race war, and were desperate to flee to the freedom and prosperity of the Eastern Bloc. They thought this because that's what they had been told. They had no way to know otherwise. The few Russians who understood what was really going on in the rest of the world had learned about it from listening to shortwave radio broadcasts, sometimes under the covers so the neighbors wouldn't hear. 50 years later, it is bewildering to consider the ironies here. We're the ones who live in ignorance now.
I'm sure there is a component of this that is like just American propaganda. However, unlike the Cold War Russians, we live in an era to where you can access any sort of like information that you want, and it's so easy. Like, guys, getting access to information is so easy that there are conspiracies on why it is so easy. That is like the reason like half of conspiracies pop up. Is because it's so easy to access information, and people are like, it can't be that easy. They're hiding something from us. In reality, it's that easy. Except for Jeffrey Epstein, he killed himself. Or except for Jeffrey Epstein, he didn't kill himself. But it's really that easy. We live in a world where you can see whatever you want to. If you want to look on Twitter and look at Ukrainian soldiers right now, you can do that. To compare these two completely separate situations is very disingenuous, and Tucker knows that.
The US government has managed to classify more than 1 billion so-called public documents. So at this point, we can't possibly know what our leaders are doing. We're not allowed to know. By definition, that is not a democracy. Yet it's fine.
It's always been this way. Cry about it, I guess. No, people don't need to know everything. I'm sorry. I think classifying documents is like a necessary evil. People just don't need to know everything. Like, that's just how it is. You don't gotta know every single little thing. Sorry.
With the media, secrecy is a powerful tool of control. Stop asking how we got so rich. Here's another story about racism. Go eat each other. That's the program. That's how most of us now live here in the United States. Manipulated by lies, silenced by taboos. It is unhealthy and it's dehumanizing, and we're tired of it. As of today, we've come to Twitter, which we hope will be the shortwave radio under the blankets. We're told there are no gatekeepers here. If that turns out to be false, we'll leave. But in the meantime, we're grateful to be here. We'll be back with much more very soon.
What's this outro, bro? All right, Tucker's back, and luckily for us, I waited too long making this video, and in the meantime, he made another one. So we might just pop out an hour-long video. I might, honestly, I think if this gets enough views, I think I'd be open to doing this like every now and then, like maybe every month or so, to where I just like catch up on Tucker. That would be really cool, I think. But anyways, this one is called Cling to Your Taboos. It has about half the likes, however, it has only been up for 10 hours. Let's see what Mr. Tucker has got to say.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. Let's say you
Tucker.
wanted to control a country. How would you start? Well, you'd want to make sure you had the complete obedience of everybody inside your border.
You claim to be against trans people, but your name is TUCKER. Kind of weird.
Who was authorized to use deadly force. You would start with the military, and then federal law enforcement, then move your way down ultimately to agencies like the IRS. Controlling the guns would be a top priority for you if you ever wanted to go dictatorial, if you wanted to be baby doc. But let's say you had deeper ambitions. Let's say you wanted the power not simply to control people's behavior, but to control how they think, not just their bodies, but their minds, as a god would. In that case, you need to
Please? Where can I get that? Bro, show me.
take charge of the society's taboos. A taboo is something that by popular consensus is not allowed. A taboo may not be illegal, but it doesn't need to be. Over time, social prohibitions are more powerful and more enduring than laws. Societies are defined by what they will not permit, as are famously religions. Muslims don't eat pork, neither do Orthodox Jews. Traditional Christians oppose extramarital sex.
Me, I do all of those things. I eat pork and have sex. What are you going to do about it, Tucker?
The Amish avoid electricity, and so on. American society isn't overt.
No, I don't think that they do. Haven't like the Amish like recently been like become more open to machines, and they've been using like mechanical fans and like stuff like that in like Amish stores? I think they've been corrupted, to be honest.
Overtly religious, but it's governed by taboos, and it always has been. What's interesting is how fast our taboos are changing. This is not happening organically. What we're allowed to dislike is being dictated to us from above, sometimes by force.
By me.
Until fairly recently, for example, it was taboo in this country to attack people on the basis of their race. That was the...
I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure it's always been pretty common in America for people to get attacked or, like, mistreated based on their race. I don't think that's a very new thing. You know, we had, like, slavery, and then, like, segregation, and then, like, Jim Crow, and then we got Jim Crow 2 now. I don't know, man.
Main lesson of the Second World War, we were told again and again. The one thing we learned from the Nazis is that it's dangerous to reduce human beings to their genetic code. There is no master race. That made sense, but apparently we no longer believe it.
Bro, what? What is he on about? This is just schizo posting.
Punishing people based on their skin color is not only permitted in modern America, it is mandatory throughout.
This is true. I hate crackers.
Business and government and higher education, as long as the victims are white. At one time, that would have been unimaginable. So would the current behavior of our politicians. As recently as the 1992 presidential campaign, adultery was considered disqualifying for anyone seeking higher office. Bill Clinton was very nearly derailed in the New Hampshire primary by his affair with...
Honestly, I think presidents or presidential candidates, I think it's still pretty jover for them if they get exposed for cheating. I'm not saying that that's necessarily a wrong thing, because cheating's obviously bad. But I'm pretty sure it's still pretty jover for them if they get exposed for it. I don't know, though.
With Jennifer Flowers. Clinton went to elaborate lengths to lie about the relationship because he had no choice. But he was the last presidential candidate who had to meet this standard. By 2008, it was obvious to anybody who was paying attention that Barack Obama had a strange and highly creepy personal life. Yet nobody ever asked him about it.
Yeah, because he didn't. Proof? I mean, Obama's personal life looks just kind of like a rich guy's to me. He, like, goes to Hawaii every now and then and, like, surfs or windsurfs or whatever. He just seems like kind of like a rich guy. I don't know. It's not really that strange to me.
By that point, a leader's behavior within his own marriage, the core relationship of his life, had been declared irrelevant. It was Barack Obama's business, not yours.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that there is a correlation between how you treat the people important in your life to how you treat your job. Especially when your job is as important as, you know, the American fucking presidency. However, at the end of the day, that's Obama's business. Let's assume that Obama is like a terrible cheater, which I'm pretty sure he isn't. Let's assume he is, though. The fuck does that matter? If Michelle's like okay with being cheated on, she's okay with being cheated on. It's really that simple.
One by one, with increasing speed, our old taboos have been struck down. Those that remain have lost their moral force. Stealing, flaunting your wealth, striking women.
I think those are all pretty, like, morally bad. I mean, stealing, I think people have come to, like, understand stealing as more of a gray thing. However, the rest, seem pretty bad. Flaunting your money, that's there's nothing like wrong with it. It's just kind of rude. Hitting women. I mean, that's bad. you know, that's bad.
Smoking marijuana on the street.
That's good.
Shameless public hypocrisy. Taking other people's money for not working. All of these things used to be considered unacceptable in America, not anymore. So it probably shouldn't surprise us that the greatest taboo of all is teetering on the edge of acceptability: child molestation.
Bro, what? What the fuck? Child molestation is teetering on the edge of acceptability. No? No? No, it's not? Huh? Okay, Tuck.
A generation ago, talking to someone else's children about sex was widely considered grounds for a thrashing.
No, it wasn't. There's a thing called sex ed. People had it.
Touching them sexually was effectively a death penalty offense.
Still is. If somebody touches my hypothetical child's dick, I'm killing them straight up. Sorry. Sorry, Tucker. The liberals don't want you to I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, if somebody touches my kid's dick, my hypothetical kid's dick, I'm killing them. Sorry, Tuck. I know this isn't what you wanted to hear from a leftist voice, but it's what's gonna happen, man.
When Jeffrey Dahmer was bludgeoned to death in the bathroom of a Wisconsin prison in 1994, the Milwaukee District Attorney had to caution the public not to turn Dahmer's killer into a folk hero. Jeffrey Dahmer had molested...
We still do this! Okay, prisoners beat the oh my god, oh no. There are prisoners that have gotten famous for beating the shit out of pedophiles. And I think this is a good thing. I'm pro rehab, I'm pro rehabilitational justice. But in our current system, prisoners beating the fuck out of pedophiles is a good thing. In our current system. It's a shame that that's a good thing that happens, but it's a good thing that happens.
And murdered children. People felt justified in celebrating his death. 25
People still do this.
years later, that standard had changed dramatically in the state
No, it hasn't.
of Wisconsin, as in the rest of the country. In the summer of 2020, during the BLM riots in Kenosha, 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse defended his life from a convicted child molester called Joseph Rosenbaum.
So, you think Kyle Rittenhouse knew he was a convicted child molester before he shot him? I don't think that this is relevant at all. I don't think his status of being a piece of shit is related to the reason he died in the slightest. I think he, maybe had it coming for touching a kid, but this is not related at all, unless you believe in, like, karma, which I think Tucker wouldn't, because that's, like, a libtard thing. But, I don't think the reason he died is related to his status as a shitbag at all. I don't think, Kyle Rittenhouse went out there to pedophile hunt. I think he went there to defend some rando's property.
Rosenbaum was trying to kill Rittenhouse, so Rittenhouse shot him in self-defense. But it was Joseph Rosenbaum whom the media cast as the victim of the story.
He was killed, yeah. He was literally the victim.
Kyle Rittenhouse, meanwhile, an underage boy fending off violence from a child molester.
An underage boy who crossed state lines with an illegal firearm that he shouldn't have had to specifically defend property. Yeah.
Was denounced as the villain. Ultimately, he was indicted for murder.
Was he, though?
One of the things that this tells us is that
It was ruled self-defense, right? I mean, I agree with the ruling. It was by technicality self-defense. But he shouldn't have been there.
people who run our country no longer see child molesters as the worst among us. It's
Among us.
never been more obvious than it was yesterday when the Wall Street Journal ran a long expose about kiddie porn on Instagram. Instagram, the journal found, quote, helps connect and promote a vast network of accounts openly devoted to the commission and purchase of underage sex content.
Literally every social media website does this. You just have to know where to look. Every single social media website that exists and has existed has had like pedophile rings on it, not just Instagram. And I'm sure the article points that out. If not, then the article is probably just a hit piece.
Instagram connects pedophiles and connects them to content sellers of child porn.
Hold on. I have a nasty agenda. I have a nasty idea I want to push. Hold the flip on. Let me get this off the screen for a second, just so I don't leak anybody's stuff. Tucker Carlson tonight. Oh, he doesn't. Oh, okay. Hey, I was expecting an easy own there. I didn't get my easy own. That sucks. Anyways, back to the actual matter at hand.
Pornography. In one instance, the paper discovered that Instagram was recommending the phrase incest toddlers to users who'd expressed interest in similar material. By the way, no one at Instagram denied that any of this had happened, nor did.
So, here's the thing with algorithms, is that algorithms are stupid. If you watch a certain type of content, then the algorithm is either going to do one of two things. It is going to recommend you that content, or it is going to recommend you content that is inflammatory to said content. One in this scenario, which is recommending said content, would keep you on the platform for longer. Two would, one, keep you on the platform for longer, and two, make you mad and engage with it.
Did Mark Zuckerberg, who controls the company. The journal story was accurate. It was all pretty shocking, but not as shocking as what happened next, which was effectively nothing at all. The largest circulation newspaper in the United States revealed that one of the world's most influential companies was promoting pedophilia.
Catholicism?
And nobody in power did anything about it.
The Pope?
The Justice Department did not announce an investigation. Congress did not schedule hearings. The guy who runs Instagram, Adam Mosseri, still has his job. In fact,
yes, because it was the algorithm that did that and not him personally. Algorithms are stupid and they need tuning.
Mosseri's last tweet, which is pinned, is a video of himself bragging about how effective Instagram's algorithm is.
It is. It's very effective.
Keep in mind as you watch this, it's real.
People often talk about the algorithm, but there is no one algorithm for Instagram. There are many algorithms and ranking processes we use to try to personalize the experience to make it as interesting as we can for each and every person who uses Instagram. We believe in this idea of personalization. What you're interested in and what I'm interested in is different, and so therefore your Instagram and my Instagram should be different.
Is Tucker coming out as anti-algorithm? Why is he on Twitter then? Shouldn't he just be on fucking just some random self-hosted streaming site? If he's anti-algorithm, he should just have his own website.
What you're interested in and what I'm interested in is different, Mosseri explains patiently. So
yes.
Your Instagram feed will be different from mine. You're interested in children, that's why you're getting all the incest toddler posts. It's a highly personalized experience. That tweet.
Yes. People who are interested in kids are more prone to get posts of kids. Yes. Yes, Tucker. That is how algorithms work.
Is still up tonight. Of course, everybody at Instagram, in fact, everyone everywhere in authority, will still claim to think that child molestation is bad, but the tone has changed unmistakably. When they say it's bad, they mean it in a kind of abstract way. Bad like a civil war in Central Africa is bad.
Yeah, both are pretty bad. I mean, one is I mean, if we're talking about child molestation as a whole, I think that's worse than one civil war. But I think if we're talking about one case, then yeah, definitely civil war is worse. I guess it depends on framing here. I don't know.
You wouldn't prefer it, but there are reasons it happens. That's why we now
Yes, there are reasons that child molestation happens. It's called Catholicism.
refer to pedophiles as minor attracted persons because
I refer to them as priests. Ayo.
honestly, who can judge? These people are a sexual minority, so pause before you attack them. And in any case, it's not like pedophiles are barging into the Capitol building to sit in Nancy Pelosi's chair,
Yeah, they're barging into the Catholic Church.
asking uncomfortable questions about the last election. For miscreants like that, no punishment is too harsh. So far this month, the FBI's Washington field office has issued 11 press releases. 10 out of 11 have been about January 6th. Keep in mind that January 6th happened more than 2.5 years ago.
It's called campaigning, little bro. They're campaigning. They're trying to drum up hype by mentioning January 6th, where your people decided to be like, I'm going to be stupid now, and storm the Capitol and try to overthrow the government.
Now you know why the feds were ignoring kid touchers on Instagram. They're too busy.
I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure feds have a more important job to do than targeting individual kid touchers on Instagram. Sorry. I mean, ideally we'd be able to do both, but I'm pretty sure feds have a more important job to do.
Easy to respond. They've got much more important things to do, like finding
Yes, actually.
white supremacists.
Yeah. Okay. I think the structural damage done by white supremacy is worse than child molestation. Yeah, I'm confident with that. I'm confident in that. Yeah, I believe that.
White supremacists are America's new child molesters. We've got
Based. I mean,
zero tolerance for white supremacists because
I do.
no one threatens the life of this country more than they do.
True, actually.
Here's Joe Biden once again making that very clear last month.
To stand up against the poison of white supremacy, as I did my inaugural address, to single out as the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is.
Statistically is correct. White supremacy and far-right ideologies are the most dangerous ideologies to America. When we're talking about sheer number of attacks and deaths, and I believe deaths per capita as well, adjusted for post 9/11, because 9/11 very much skews the score.
White supremacy.
Ouch.
And I'm not saying this because I'm at a black HBCU.
Man, I love Biden. He's something.
I say it wherever I go.
Pardon the feedback, but you heard the point. White supremacy is the most dangerous threat to the American homeland. Joe Biden just told us that. It's more dangerous than the threat of nuclear war with Russia. It's more dangerous.
He never said that. But the reason that this would be a reasonable statement to make, however, is that white supremacy is a reasonable problem. Nuclear war isn't a reasonable problem because nuclear war would insinuate mutual self-destruction, which isn't a reasonable thing to do. However, it is, in this framework, reasonable to address white supremacy.
And the threat of the Mexican drug cartels, who've already killed hundreds of thousands of Americans and are now in control of swaths of our southwestern states. White
Proof?
supremacy is that bad, Joe Biden says. In fact, it's worse.
Okay, if you want to get rid of the cartels in America, legalize all drugs. That's it, period. You take away their business, you make a government business. Boom, that's how you get rid of all of them. Sorry, Tucky.
But what is it? That's the question. Can anyone in authority actually define white supremacy?
White supremacy is the belief that white people are fundamentally above other races due to just their existence and nothing else. There you go.
What is it? Is white supremacy liking white people too much?
Yes.
If so, that's going to put those of us with white children in a pretty tough spot.
What?
Or is white supremacy something much more obviously bad, like trying
Yes.
to expel all non-whites from America and creating some kind of ethno-state?
Both are bad. Both are terrible. Ethnostates, bad. I'm anti-ethnostate.
If that's Joe Biden's definition, what exactly is the scope of this threat? How many people
To be anti-white supremacy.
are currently working on this American white ethnostate project? And what are
Well, there's at least one of them right here.
the chances they're going to pull it off? Our guess is not very many and precisely zero. But we can't say for sure because no one has.
Yeah, having a landmass as fucking huge as America be an ethnostate is just entirely unrealistic. Like, we have dense populations like Japan, who might as well be who are a virtual ethnostate, but still aren't an ethnostate just because they have a somewhat large-ish amount of land. I'm sure you could do it in somewhere like, I don't know, Singapore, to where it's a densely populated city-state, and I think Singapore may be a virtual ethnostate. I don't know. I would have to do my research. But I think it would only be possible within a very densely populated, very closed-off city-state. I think that is the only way an ethnostate could happen. I'm not saying that it's a good thing, but I'm saying it's the only way it could happen. Having an American ethnostate, whether it be white, black, Asian, Hispanic, is entirely unrealistic and very stupid.
Showed us the numbers. These are not rhetorical questions. When the President of the United States describes something as the worst possible crime Americans can commit, you have a right to know what that crime is. You used to have that right. Under our pre-revolutionary legal code before George Floyd, questions like these were easy to answer.
Pre-revolutionary? What revolution?
A crime was defined as something that an elected legislature had explicitly banned, usually an act that hurt somebody else. In America, crimes were described precisely with words in English and then
No, they weren't.
preserved in books, which you could read yourself. If you ever wondered whether you were committing a crime, you could just look it up. You could know for sure whether you were a criminal. Now you can't. And needless to say,
Wouldn't what Tucker is doing, like 50 or something years ago, be considered a crime? Because it's like objectively media misinfo. I think that used to be a crime at some point. But it's just funny to see how the turntables.
say that's the point. The point of the exercise is to keep you off balance, to keep you afraid. When no one's willing to define the offense, you can't be sure whether or not you're committing it. You could be accused at any time and every.
That's the fucking point. That is the point, Tucker. That is why these laws are written like this, is so that they can pick and choose who they want to enforce them against. He's so close to being onto something.
Everything you have taken from you. You live in fear. Remember this guy?
Emmanuel Cafferty was driving near a Black Lives Matter protest in Poway in his SDG&E truck when he says he noticed somebody following him and trying to get his attention. Later, that person posted a picture of him making what some believed is a white supremacy symbol on Twitter. Cafferty says he had no idea about any white power symbols and was just cracking his knuckles outside his window when the picture was taken of him. Later that day, he says he was notified by SDG&E that he would be suspended pending an investigation, and a few days later, he was fired.
What that man did.
Oh, well, if they investigated him and they found something, then, might have been on to something there.
It was so offensive, as you just saw, that local news had to blur the photograph of his hand. He was fired from his job. His life was destroyed for cracking his knuckles. He didn't know cracking his knuckles was racist in his defense, but then nobody did until the day that poor Emmanuel Cafferty was unwise enough to crack them.
No, he went under investigation and they found some things other than that, probably, that are more concrete, and then they fired him based off of that.
When a crime has no definition, anyone can be guilty of it.
True, actually kind of based here, but I don't think we mean the same thing when we say this.
It's hard to relax in a country like that. The old system was better. Government operated on the basis of laws, not amorphous moral terror. Politicians couldn't accuse you of something they couldn't define. The legal code was straightforward. Child molestation was a crime. Having unfashionable
Still is.
opinions was not.
Should be.
Outside of the public sphere, the population mostly governed itself, as it does in every society, and used taboos to do it. You knew what was allowed and what wasn't because the rules didn't change very often. The taboos were organic. They derived from collective experience and instinct, the two most reliable guides to life. They evolved for a reason. They still do. Our job at this point is to protect them, despite the hectoring, the nonstop hectoring from the people in charge. You know the outlines of right and wrong. You were born knowing them. So don't let them talk you out of what you can smell. Don't let them rationalize away your intuitive moral sense. Cling to your taboos like your life depends on them, because it does.
Proof?
Cherish and protect them like family heirlooms. That's exactly what they are.
All right, guys. So we're caught up on the Tucker show. He's just as insane as ever. He might even be more insane. Tucker is extremely stupid. I think that is very apparent, just like inherently. But anyways, I think that's about it for today. If you liked the video, be sure to like it. And I know that only like 15% of people who watch these videos are subscribed. So you know, if you've made it to the end of this video, if you made it all 56 minutes in, you might as well subscribe. If you're gonna watch me for 56 minutes and not subscribe, man, come on. You might as well do it. And if you're a Tucker fan watching this, I would hate if you left a like. I would hate if that happened. So be sure not to do that. But yeah. I'll see y'all guys next time. Hopefully he becomes woke. I hope he becomes woke and he destroys Donald Trump in the marketplace of ideas. All right, bye.